Welcome to Hypnotic Authenticity. My name is Chris. I'm a practical, grounded hypnotherapist. I'm based in Switzerland, and this is a space that I have created to foster a genuine sense of inner settling, a place to harmonize with yourself and bring about the improvements to your well-being that, I don't know, maybe perhaps you thought were literally impossible. So my episodes are an invitation to reconnect with all that is alive inside you, to examine the stories that you live your life by, and to maybe soften the edges of what it is that you believe yourself to be in order to create a bigger, broader, more expansive sense of your personal agency and your personal understanding. So I'm going to be talking about identity, about existence, about self-resonance, self-harmony, about authenticity. And that'll all be wrapped up with a sprinkling of hypnosis or guided meditation to help you settle, to help you align and return to yourself. So if you're ready, take a breath and let's begin. And I'm sorry about the audio quality of this one. It was recorded outdoors in a beautiful but slightly windy setting, so I've tried to clean up the audio as best I can.
I'm going to talk a little bit about forgiveness today. This is not going to be a long speech, but I'm going to give you what I consider to be the most useful tool. Let's kick off with what forgiveness is not, okay, because this is super important. When you forgive somebody, you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. Forgiveness is not condoning someone's actions. If you feel hurt, attacked, violated, your boundaries have been broken, that's a valid feeling. And there's no reason to condone them for doing that, okay? But when you harbor a resentment or an anger towards someone or something, it hurts you, okay? It makes you suffer. I like this definition of suffer. Suffering is pain plus resistance, or pain multiplied by resistance. When you don't forgive someone, when you resist that, it accentuates the pain. So you're doing yourself no favors at all by maintaining that feeling. Okay, so forgiveness is not condoning. Forgiveness is a little bit like empathy, okay? You're saying what they did, that action, whatever, was wrong. That it was bad for you, that it hurt you in some way, that it made you feel whatever it made you feel, okay? And there are things that you will learn about that person from that action or those people from that action, okay? So you will carry that learning with you. It doesn't go away when you forgive somebody, okay? The other thing which people sometimes wonder about is, well, that they don't deserve my forgiveness. So the thing is, they're not going to know. Okay, this is not for them. This is for you. This is for you to find an equilibrium inside of yourself where you are no longer investing your energy in that resentment, that anger, whatever it may be. So here's the way I do it. Think of all the times in your life where you've done stuff automatically. Okay. Think of all the times in your life where you took actions every day. From the position of today, when you look back at those moments, you can see a thread, okay? You can see the sense in where you arrived at today. But at the time that you made that action in the past, you could not see the future. You could not see the end result. And I dare say that for many, if not pretty much all of the actions that you took, the choices that you made, the decisions that you made, is questionable if you ever had a choice. Okay, let's say that. Why? Because we all have our rules, we all have our values, we all have our motivations that have been created by the experiences of our life. And so we give meaning to certain directions. Okay. And so we do what we think is right in the moment based upon the knowledge that we have in that moment of um, what is rewarding, what is the most rewarding, what is the most natural, what is, it depends upon the moment, right? Sometimes you don't think at all, it just occurs. Other times you give a considered response, a decision, but it's always based upon everything that you carry inside of you. And most of those decisions at that time, you didn't really have a choice in it. It's hard to go down that level too far without starting to talk about destiny, but it is questionable how much choice you have. You can step out of yourself completely, but 99 times out of 100, we tend to run on automatic pilot. Think of all the times that you've got angry with other people, how little choice you had in that matter, that it just kind of rushed up. Think of all the thousands of times that you run on autopilot, that you did stuff that afterwards, if you choose to reconsider it, maybe there was a better approach. But at the time, you did it. So my route to forgiveness of other people is to simply cut them as much slack as I kind of have to cut myself. I'm fallible. I make mistakes. I make decisions based on autopilot. I do things without thinking of the consequences. Even if I do think about the consequences, even when I make a considered decision, I'm not omnipotent, right? It's not as if my cause leads to a preordained set of effects. What happens is the world does its thing. Maybe I throw a drop in the ocean, but most things are occurring outside of my control. Okay? If I can do that for me and forgive myself, let's say, for my errors, accept that I'm a member of the human race, that people are mistakes, right? People make mistakes, people are fallible, which is a great way to finding inner peace. Well, naturally, the conclusion to that is everybody else is the same. When somebody has done something bad to you, or when a group of people have done something bad to you, or an organization, an institution, whatever it may be, consider it like you. We all do things on autopilot, running on our rails, that were created through our experiences, that were created through our pains, our traumas, our memories. And they grip us and they guide us without even realizing to do things. And that's the same for everybody else. So you may find that your anger is because you are fulfilling a victim role, okay? That in actual fact, they did it to you. They chose to do it to you. They did it deliberately to make you hurt, whatever it may be. But if you can take a step behind and think about all the times that you yourself did things for reasons that made sense to you at the moment, but that with the benefit of hindsight made no sense at all, surely there's a way to do that for somebody else. So for me, that's what forgiveness is. Another way that I can find for forgiveness is this kind of idea of, well, if all I am is the result of the chance occurrences that have occurred in my life and the experiences that I have gone through and the learnings and understandings about myself that I have developed from that, if that all came from events, most of which were completely outside of my control, then everybody else is the same as that. And other people have lived some very, very different experiences from you, and they've come to different conclusions about life to you. They have different understandings about what works for them, about what they're good at or bad at, what they deserve, how they get their needs fulfilled. All the stories that are running around in your head, they're running around in everybody else's head, and they're all their stories, and you don't know what their stories are. So that's how I get to the point of forgiveness, okay? It's not condoning what anybody else does. This is equally applicable whether someone did something tiny or someone did something massive. But for the grace of God, perhaps I could have been living their experience. Who knows? Perhaps. Perhaps I could have learned a set of rules about life that drove me to do the things that they did to me, that they did to you. Yeah? So it's all about taking a step back, pausing the ego as much as you can, and considering yourself as part of this soup of human nature. And our place in that. Because lovely though it would be, we don't really have the right to expect everybody to treat us well or nicely. We can hope it's the case. But the world's going to do what the world does. There can be an element in forgiveness that says, oh, I shoulda, right? There are the anger that is underpinning the frustration and the resistance against forgiveness. It can be self-directed. It can be, "Oh, if only I had." Okay. So maybe there's an element of forgiveness, which is forgiving yourself for not understanding, not knowing, not acting. as well as forgiveness for the other person. But ultimately, what we're talking about here is that people make the decisions they make at the time that they make them, with the information that they had at that time, with their motivations, with their meaning structure, with the system, with their peer group, with the events, the influences around them, with the baggage that they carry with them, with the pain, with the trauma, with the anger, with the fears, whatever. Okay. And we're all the same in that. And yeah, we do different actions. Everybody does different actions. Some actions are really bad. Some actions are good. But even that is fluid, right? There are events which we can think about as good or bad that 100, 200 years later, history tends to look at in a different fashion. Okay. Everything is fluid. Everything is a perspective. So any distance that you can bring to that feeling, which is creating the resistance to pain, you can understand where that resistance is coming from and let it go. Lean into the pain, even. Understand yourself. Look after yourself first. Love yourself like your whole life depends upon it. Stabilize yourself and then tackle forgiveness of others. So I hope that's useful. That is my approach. Not saying it works for everybody, but I find it's quite a useful way to look at life, to look at the actions of other people, and to reconsider my reactions and responses to it. The whole thing is getting out of our ego. The whole thing is seeing ourselves with that sense of perspective, with that sense of open focus. You know, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of hurt and hatred and pain comes from a very narrow focus. We drill into it and we drill into it and we get deeper and deeper into it and we fly down it. You know, expand your focus. See the bigger picture. And I know it's hard when things are very, very personal, but it's doing you no good to stay in that narrow focus. Once you've learned the lessons that you can learn from the situation, once you can understand if there's anything that you need to bring to your future from that situation, the rest, just let it go. Because nobody has control over the world. Stuff happens. There you go. I hope that's useful. It's not comprehensive. It's, I know these things are difficult. It's just my thoughts. The nice thing is when you forgive somebody else, in spite of, it's like you're bathing yourself in something very, very warm and comfortable. There's something very, very nice and relieving about it. You're throwing away a bag of bricks. So yeah, there we go. If you have any thoughts, questions, feel free to ask. Feel free. If there are other subjects equally pithy and tricky that you'd like me to address, ask. And if you disagree, that's okay. Say what it is that you disagree. I mean, it's okay for people to disagree. And if you kind of get along with what I'm saying, have a look at the other videos. Maybe there's something else there that's of use too. Okay, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If it resonates with you, then follow my podcast. I would also personally be really grateful if you might wish to leave a quick rating. It genuinely helps others to discover the podcast. If you personally would like more guided meditations, you want some deeper insights, you'll find all my links in the description. If you prefer a more visual boost, then you might want to check out my YouTube channel called Authentic Life Hypnosis. And if you're looking to do some deeper work that goes beyond one-way audio, then obviously you're very welcome to reach out. Equally, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.